Hello, and welcome to Cooking Adventures with Karen, where I share my love of cooking, baking, decorating, and many other things that involve the kitchen with you. Stay tuned today as I share about making bagels. When making bagels or bread, I weigh out my flour, and today I'm using bread flour in grams. I'm going to dump this into my nice big mixing bowl, along with sea salt. I use a really fine sea salt. And then I will whisk this together to incorporate the salt with the flour. Next, I pour in my 100 to 110 degree water. And then I add in my yeast and sugar. And then I give it a little good whisk to get everything combined. And then this is going to sit and bloom for 10 minutes and get nice and frothy. So as you can see, the sugar yeast mixture and water has bloomed and is now frothy. Before I mix it into the flour, I give it another stir to re-agitate it. And then in a minute, I will dump it into my flour and combine it. So I'm going to dump my frothy yeast mixture into my flour. Scrape out what's left in the bowl. And then I'm going to take a spatula and mix it together, just to incorporate it a little bit before I start using my hands. I just washed my hands. A cook's best friend are clean hands. Mixing bread dough with gloves is no fun. So it doesn't look like it's going to come together at first with this mixture, but it does come together eventually. And sometimes it takes a little bit more water to get it to come together. It really is a shaggy dough at first, as you can see. I'm going to go grab a little bit more water. I have made bagels in my mixer before, but I feel like it makes a tougher dough, so I prefer to mix them by hand, which means they are made in small batches. This batch will make about 9 bagels. I'm gonna one-hand knead this dough until it is silky smooth. It doesn't take very long. It comes together pretty easily. I have found that if I knead my dough with 2 hands, it gets too tough. Once the dough is what I would consider silky smooth, then I'm going to oil my bowl and let my dough rise for 1 hour at room temperature. So my dough has proofed nicely. It's doubled in size. I'm going to gently push it down. It's not like you're beating cinnamon roll dough. It's light and nice. I'm just going to push some of the air out of it. And then I will flip it onto a floured work surface and start shaping my balls of dough, which will be made into bagels soon. This batch of bagels made 8 3.5 ounce dough balls. They are going to rest for about 10 minutes before I form them into the traditional bagel shape.
I form the bagels by poking a hole in the center and then shaping it with my hands.
On the stove in an 8-quart stock pot, I have malted barley syrup and water at a slow boil. This is where my bagels will get boiled for about 2 minutes. I boil my bagels in malted barley syrup water for about 55 seconds per side, and then I drain them on a well-oiled baking sheet for a few minutes before they head into the oven. So my bagels are boiled and resting on a well-oiled baking sheet. I use olive oil. I'm now going to brush them with egg wash, which was 1 whole egg with 1 teaspoon of water. Egg wash is not necessary if you're making bagels, but it does give them a very nice shine. So I will brush them evenly, and then I'm going to top 4 of these bagels with everything bagel seasoning, which is my favorite. And my second favorite is garlic, so I will be using minced garlic on the second pan. You can get everything bagel seasoning almost anywhere these days. I usually buy mine at Aldi. Put your seasoning on liberally. A lot of it will fall off, which when I make a toasted bagel, I put it back on top of the cream cheese. The first time I made bagels, I literally put the seasoning in a bowl and dipped them in them. That just didn't work for me. It made a huge mess. So, if at first it doesn't work, do it a different way the second time. So from here, I'm going to put my trays of bagels in my preheated oven at 425 degrees for approximately 20 minutes. When your bagels are done baking, remove them from the oven. They should be this nice golden brown. About 8 minutes into the cooking process, I took a heavy-duty spatula and popped them up from where they were so that they didn't stick in place. My suggestion is to never use parchment paper with your bagels unless you'd like them to be stuck to the parchment paper. I also suggest you heavily olive oil the pans before you bake your bagels. It makes the process a little bit nicer. Everything bagels, garlic bagels. I love bagel sandwiches, so today I made myself a turkey with guacamole, provolone cheese, bacon, mustard, and pickles. The only thing that could have made this sandwich better is a freshly sliced tomato. Thank you for subscribing and watching Cooking Adventures with Karen, where I explore the food I love.